So I hear that Rex wanted feedback from the community on what improvements we would like to see for franchise mode. Now, while typically I would say, hey, I'm gonna put his @ in the title, which I'm definitely gonna do. We're gonna spam this thing with likes and spam this thing to his Twitter account. It's not really necessary. I'm gonna DM this thing to him because, for me, at least, I want to make Madden fun again. And I honestly think that it's our job to do it. Granted, once again, we don't get paid for this. It's their job to come up with these ideas and such. But hey, if I was a hashtag starter, I would say let's hashtag make Madden fun again. Not make Madden great again, because Lord knows when that's been. But let's just make Madden fun again. Now, in my previous wish list videos, which, you know, there'll be an end card at the end of this video, which will link you to those, also a playlist for them. In those previous videos, the common theme has been simple. The only thing that I want to accomplish is to make Madden fun. And by making Madden fun, I think that you could bring in a larger audience or a larger amount of newer players, players that otherwise have turned their shoulder to the NFL or turned their shoulder to football games. Also, it kind of took away the kid element, you know, the fun out of Madden. Like I said in the previous video, I would like to sit down and play this with my kid. You know, let's play some Madden. And with that, I introduce bringing back the mascot games. So for this one, we're going to tackle franchise mode. And I got my notes. You know me, I got my notes. We're gonna have some fun with this one. Now, granted, you're not gonna agree with everything, but again, I'm just tossing ideas out there. In the comment section below, put your additions, some of the things that you would like to see featured for franchise mode, some of the things that you would like to see changed, taken out, added, whatever. Put them in the comment section below, because I will be making a final wishlist video that's going to cover everything that the community wants. We've done this in the previous wishlist videos, and we're gonna do it again here. So your feedback is definitely necessary. So, franchise mode. What can we do with this thing to make it more interesting and fun? The first thing that I want to tackle is the draft. I think we could tackle the draft and work our way from there. And the draft is simple. We need star players in the draft. If you can remember back in the days where you could import your rosters from the NCAA, you know, you could draft a Reggie Bush, a Vince Young, and things like that. You knew your star players because they were named, and you knew if you landed a spot in the draft where you could draft them, you knew exactly who you wanted to go for. There was no doubt about it in your mind. If it was a great class coming out, a class of about 30 players that were like box office names, and again, hey, some of them could be hit or miss, some of them could be bust. You know, you could catch a Jamarcus Russell, but I think it's up to us as GMs to determine whether or not we want to draft said players. We could dive deep into their combine numbers, into their scouting reports, and into their articles, which we'll get to all of that stuff in a minute. We could dive deep into all of that stuff and discover for ourselves whether or not these top players will be stars or busts. But we need, and when I say named players in the draft, I don't mean like they need to be named X, Y, and Z and we know that those who the players are and it's going to be the same for each draft and each person. No, not necessarily that. But when you do those news articles or those, you know, those scouting articles that they put up in the news section, a lot of the times they're putting up guys that are in like the 6th round, or guys that aren't even on the draft board and stuff like that. How about we take those players that make those, you know, that make the article? How about we take them and those are the named players, you know? Or you could have a section in there in that news section where it's like players to look out for. Say you put like a cluster of about 10 of them in there, and those could be your diamond in the roughs, or they could end up being busts. But you know, it wouldn't hurt that much because those are later round picks. Also, I am going to get to gem players. But what I'm saying here in short with that, the star players, is, you know, let's have it so that we know who the players are that are top of the heap, so that we know who to invest in, and these are the stars, and we go at them. Now, they could be extremely good, or they could turn out to be busts. But again, leave it up to us to figure that out. But kind of getting tired of drafting guys in the first round that are like a 73 overall. So like, and their numbers and their combine and everything is all good, but they end up just being complete crap. How about we draft a player that's actually pretty decent, you know, good numbers, and he has a good overall, but like a really slow regression or a slow development, and that player turns out to be a bust. It's like, all right, you got this guy, and this is the best that he is going to be because his development is going to be terribly slow. You know, I would like to draft a player that comes out the gate, you know, and he's like an 89 or a 90 overall. Like, let me draft some Adrian Peterson guy, and let there be a few of them in there. And when we talk about those diamond in the rough, those gem players, let's look at the NCAA logic, where you could get them late. You know, they were usually like your 2 or your 3-star prospects that turned out to be, you know, like low to mid 80s, and they were your gems. Those are guys that we could get in the 5th, 6th, 7th round that, you know, you wouldn't even really think about. You know, it'll say like late talent or undraftable talent or something like that. It could say that, but then when we dive into their numbers, and the only way that we could figure it out is to dive deep into those guys' numbers, and that's how we could find those gem players. Now again, since they're in like 5th, 6th, 7th round projections or undrafted projected, then you wouldn't even really think about scouting those guys. But now it makes us want to scout those guys because you never know what you're gonna find in there. So I think that that's a good way to, you know, get us more involved into the scouting of these rookie players, is to add the star rating system and also the diamond in the rough or gem player system. I think it's a good addition for the draft. Now, I touched on the draft news articles, and I'm gonna keep this one simple. That spot where we have, you know, the news section, and it's like rookies or draft or who's coming out. You know, you could also show us juniors or sophomores, upcoming classes, so that the same way we could trade our next year's draft picks, let's get a look at what's coming up in the next year. You know, let's take a look at, you know, you might have like a freshman phenom that's in there. Now, of course, we can't draft him because he wouldn't be eligible. You know, let's get some sophomores in there that might be coming out the next year, so that we could just take note, you know, just put a little more depth to that news area with the draft, and it just makes us pay more attention to it. Also, your star players and your gem players could go there. Give us actual articles on there instead of just 1 or 2 lines. You know, how about we have your Skip Bayless and your Mel Kipers and those guys actually give notes on those guys every other week, if not every week. Again, adding depth to that news section, because I don't really know who all reads the news section unless it's about our own team. I don't really read it. Even for those draft players, sometimes I might take a look, but there's really never anything there of substance. It's usually pretty generically just generically generated, I could say. So let's put some substance there, some depth there, some stuff that's usable for us to determine who it is that we want to draft, guys for us to look at. And if there are people that are playing this mode and they don't look at it, then hey, you might have missed out on some diamonds and some star players. While we're on the topic of rookies in the draft, I also want to tackle the combine numbers and also the scouting report. I would like for it to return to the previous Maddens, where the letter grade would determine the range of your rating. For example, a guy has like an A+ impact blocking, then his impact blocking is going to range from anywhere between, you know, 95 to 99. You know, can't really go much higher. It's just going to range from that. You have a guy whose tackle is, you know, a B+, and I'm just going to make up a number here. His tackle, since it's a B+, could be what would that be, like 85 to 89. I didn't really write that part down, but just throwing it out there just to give you an example of what I mean, and to put it into layman's terms, letter grade equals range of rating. Whereas then you look at your combine, and once again we're digging back into past Maddens. 4.2 speed is your 99 speed, you know, 4.1 speed is your 99 speed. Combine numbers should be absolute, whereas your letter grade should be your range. I think it's simple. We shouldn't do combine numbers being the range and then your letter grade being, well, it'll just be good or it'll just be bad, you know, pretty much like that. I think we just need more absolute numbers for that. And I don't see what the problem with that would be. You know, it wouldn't hurt to know what it is that we're drafting. And again, determining what could make or break the guy to be a bust or a star is his development trait. And the reason why I'm putting so much stock into development trait is because of the experience that we're going to gain from that, which it's going to be a lot of depth that I'm going to have for those experience points that are going to make or break that player. So again, it won't hurt us to know what the ratings of the combine and the letter grade are, because the development trait we're going to put a lot more importance into based on the experience gain. So I want to talk about experience points. But before I talk about experience points, I feel like I need to talk about this other thing before we get into experience points, because it'd kind of be a little bit off kilter if I just jump into experience points and leave this last one for last. So trade logic is something that I want to quickly go over. I think that the trade logic in Madden that we have right now it's not a bad logic, but I would like to see an addition. I would like to see the standard trade logic that we have now, which, you know, again, I don't mind it. Some people might be like, all right, it might be too easy or it might be too hard. It's one of those things where, you know, once you figure it out, you could pretty much make any trade that you want to. But again, you got to put in the legwork to make or to figure it out. And no matter what Madden does with their trading system, once you figure it out, you'll have it figured out. So there's no right or wrong thing for them to do with the trade logic. You'll just be able to do with it as you please. But in addition, that I would like to see added to the trade logic is an arcade style trade logic. I was going to put like a rookie mode type of trade logic, or like an all Madden mode type of trade logic, where rookie mode is easier to make trades and all Madden it's harder to make trade, you know, the hardest to make trades, and like, you know, you level it up that way. But standard, which is what it is right now, and arcade style, which is, you know, pretty much a free-for-all. You can trade for whatever you want. Again, we're working on trying to make things fun, and, you know, let's say I have like a 7 or 8 year old that wants to play Madden. They want to trade for any old player that they want to trade for and have whatever team that they want to have. Let's give them the option to do so, because, you know, they're doing it offline and they're playing at their own expense. So if that's what's fun for them, let's make it fun for them. As far as like how you go about the trades, I would like to see more incorporated into trades. You know, you have your draft picks that you could put in there, you have your players that you could put in there, and we kind of base it off of age, we base it off of ratings, we also base it off of the player development. Now, another thing I would like to see added into this, which is something I definitely don't see EA going down this route, is the players' discipline issues. For example, inside of those player ratings, you have, you know, like they could have a penalty, you know, like when it says your penalty, how well are you when it comes to jumping off sides or committing pass interference? And we all know that there's no pass interference in Madden, but, you know, committing those penalties, and then you'll have like discipline, or you'll have undisciplined or something like that. You know, just factor that into it. You could also have it so that, and we're going to get to this, where you could have your coaches, actually we're going to save that for another video. We're going to have coaching trees and chemistries, and also custom teams. We're going to have that for a different video as well. But, you know, you have it so that, you know, a specific type of coach, and you can have your coach also get XP, and again, that's going to be in the coaching video. But actually, no, we'll tackle that here. We'll have so that your coaching could get XP, and, you know, that could also affect the trade logic. And you know what, I'm gonna leave trade logic right there for now, and we'll touch back on that once we get to the coaching tree, because I think that that's pretty important. So the notes that I've covered: experience, we're gonna get into that next. Trade logic covered, draft news covered, star and gem players in the draft covered, discipline leading to, oh, we're gonna get there right quick. Combine numbers with set ratings covered. We're gonna get to perks in a minute as well. Let's just talk about discipline issues leading to suspensions. Now, this is something I know won't be in Madden. It just won't, because they don't want to make the game. This is me speaking on opinion of what they could be thinking, but They don't want to show any negativity off in their game. And while I do understand that, it was something that they pulled off in NCAA, the old NCAAs, and I'm talking about like NCAA 04, I mean not 04, like 05, 06, 07, you know, where you had it so that certain players weren't disciplined. Now they'll be really good players when you're scouting them, but they'll have that bad discipline trait where it could make a sacrifice on your team. You go out and you recruit that star player, you make him a star on your team, you make him a starter on your team. You know, next thing you know, he's missing out on homework assignments, he's skipping classes and things like that. Bam, sanctions come down, he can't play for your team for a week, couple weeks, or the rest of the year. You know, you got to make a decision to redshirt him. I don't see what was wrong with that. I thought it was a pretty dope addition to those games. And if we could pull off something like that in Madden, I think that would be phenomenal. And if you want to know how you could kind of finagle that or manipulate that, we could go into the coaching tree with that, which we're going to get to later. So I just wanted to touch on that, the discipline issues and suspensions, late hits, touchdown celebrations where you're doing too much with the touchdowns and you get fined or suspended for the late hits, or a hit that's too vicious, you know, you're using the hit stick too much or something like that, or you got like a dirty player type of rating or something like, you know, just something different, man, just something dope, something different to add to it. You know, that player could have like a 99 hit power, you know, and he could have like a perk, like a hit stick perk. We're gonna get to that perks thing in a minute. They can have that hit stick perk, you know, and if he uses it too much, he could get suspended because, you know, maybe he hurt somebody, or, you know, maybe he hit somebody helmet to helmet. Nah, I know that they don't want to show helmet to helmet, I get that, but just something different, you know. I don't know what you can do with it, but hey, I'm throwing out an idea. It's up to you guys that work there to figure this stuff out to make it dope. Now, I've hinted at this perks thing a lot and this XP thing. XP and why it's so important. Again, looking back at the draft, we should be able to know what a player's numbers are based on their combine, and based off their letter grade, we should be able to determine what their rating for those or what those particular stats are. Now, the thing that should matter the most is the development trait, because the development trait is what gets us the XP. Now, you know, I'm just changing it. You know, it determines how fast or slow we get the XP. Now, XP should be more important, and we should gain a lot more of it, because not only are you increasing your ratings, but you're also able to get perks. And also, if you can incorporate a badge system for this mode and for the players, that's what your XP can go to. Now, you have a lot more to spend your XP on, and you also can determine, once again, if a player ends up being a bust, it's because he's not gaining enough XP and he's already topped out based on what he is coming out of college. Again, let's look at a Jamarcus Russell, who out of college, you know, let's say in college he's like a 93 overall player, you know, and once you scout him and you do all of that and you get him into the draft and you draft him, he ends up being say not a 60, I'm sorry, he ends up being like a 83 or 84 with a slow development. Now his development, because it's slow, it could actually make him regress instead of progress. Or is it progress? It's definitely progress. It, you know, it could hurt him more than it could help him if he has a slow development trait. And because he doesn't have the development trait for like quick or superstar and things like that, he's not getting the necessary XP in order to unlock badges and unlock perks to make himself a better player, and also unlock, you know, not unlock, but to raise his ratings high enough. So, badge system, simple. Each player position could have particular badges. Let's say you have a running back, and he could have like, say, 5 or 10 badges that he could unlock, and those badges could be what we have in Ultimate Team, which is chemistries that you have for Ultimate Team: Conductor, Battle Ready, Energize, Identify, Jump the Snap, Hot Hands. These are all things that you had in All Pro Football 2K8, but they made up your player build, whereas here they'll just be an addition that'll give you an additional boost for these particular things: playmaker, focus kicker, clutch kicker, tip drill, secure tackler, secure pass blocker, things like that. You can get these via unlocking them. You can have different levels of them, a la 2K. Once again, sometimes you just got to take something from a different game and make it your own. Sometimes you just got to take it. You know, you can have secure pass blocker, bronze, silver, gold, elite tier, you know, and just and you add it into, and it just gives your mode so much more depth. If you just take these things that you have right here in Ultimate Team and you put them into franchise and you put it behind the XP, and the thing that drives it the most is that players development trait, whether it's superstar, quick, whatever the regular one is, and slow. Those determine what type of XP you get, how fast you get your XP, how much XP you get per game, per play. Let's up that. We gotta up it because we got a lot of stuff to put XP into. And there you have it. There you have it. It could put you so much more into franchise, because right now with franchise, all I feel is, all right, you know, you might hit the practice, you know, you might take a player and do a couple of drills with him and get a couple extra XP, and by a couple extra XP, I mean like a couple hundred, which isn't gonna get you anything. And then you play your game and that's it. That's it. It makes it boring. It doesn't give you incentive or reason to want to come back to it. We need a reason to want to come back to it. So give us these perks. Badge system, XP gains needs to be improved, and that development trait needs to feel like more of an importance. Expansion teams, we need them. We need to be able to customize some of the team uniforms that we already have in the game, like put in all of, like for example the Seahawks. I want to see all of the Seahawks uniforms that they've ever had, so we can make different combinations of those uniforms. And also let us be able to create expansion teams, 4 at the most expansion teams. I think that'd be a pretty dope addition to the game. We could customize them whatever we want, and we could do that with the team builder. Now I know I said I was going to touch on the coaching tree and chemistries and such, but I kind of want to do a part 2 because I feel like I've talked a lot here. Team builder, we're going to leave that to the next video. I already got that whole thing mapped out. I got a lot to talk about franchise mode, and it doesn't stop here. This is part 1, and I want to let you guys simmer on some of the stuff that I've said here, and I really would like feedback from it. Again, I'm gonna pass this thing on into Rex because he asked for it. He gonna get all his work, at least from me. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, leave your comment down in the comment section below. Let me know what your wish list would be pertaining to franchise mode. In the previous one we did pertaining to play now mode, you know, where we talked about mascot games and different types of teams and, you know, stuff like that. And we also did the introduction video where you guys left, you know, hopefully your comments for improving the game or your wish list for the game lines up with the particular topics that we're talking about, because we're going to touch on all of the different types of modes in this game. So, you know, those of you who are waiting to just leave all of your wish list stuff for Ultimate Team, let's just wait for Ultimate Team video to leave that there. But this here is strictly for the franchise guys, and we're going to make a separate video, a community wish list video, and I'm going to put it all together there. That's going to be all for you guys.